The holiday baking has begun, Angie. Oh, Angie, you got to tell us what you're baking. That sounds good on a day like today, right? Nice. What, pumpkin pie today? It'd be nice, wouldn't it? On this foggy, you're right. Was it Tim that said? Yeah, Tim over into Frankfurt. Sent his comment of foggy set up there into Frankfurt. It's foggy here in Louisville as well. We've got the backside of the rain down in the area. More on that in a second. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Snow Talk. Lack of snow talk once again for the area. But hey, it's not always all bad news, right? We start this early. We always start this, of course, right at after Halloween when the winter forecast comes out. You guys know usually it takes a while to get things going around here on the winter side. And then the core always is usually going to be a little more into January into February. That's when we get the busiest around here on Snow Talk. All right. But you got a couple of items we may see down the road. I'll talk about in a second. So we're going to cover the rain today. Just real quickly, kind of recap how that ended up playing out for us. That's an important piece on how everything will certainly evolve down the road as we end November and begin December. All right. Angie gave us an update, by the way. Pies, pumpkin muffins, cinnamon apple cake, and Alton Brown's stuffing muffins. Angie, you know the address of the station. We'll just leave it at that. All right, let's get to the snowboard. Yeah. No items. I removed the one for Sunday to Monday. While there could be some drizzle or a flake or two, I don't see it being on the board. I just don't think it belongs right now on the board. Now, here's the good news. There are a couple opportunities in the road where that could lead to that to change. As early as tomorrow, we may see an item back on the board. But again, I try to be really picky about this. I will put some relatively minor things on here at times, but I'll stress that they're minor. There is a scale that will pop in. You saw that before on there, 1 to 10. If it starts to climb, that's where we have more confidence in what is likely to happen, and its impacts will be more felt. But right now, no. Entering a quiet pattern for us here in to Wave Country. So I'll have more on that in just a second. Let me cover the live view there into Corridon, where this is interesting too, by the way. The red tree there, Normally when they decorate it for Christmas, and they do have lights on it, I can't zoom in at the moment here. They normally do have lights on it, but there's no leaves normally when it's decorated. So this is a very odd one. I don't know if you guys have noticed the same thing where you've had more leaves that have changed color, but they're holding on to the tree longer than normal, which is interesting because Brian Hoke and I were talking about this yesterday. If we end up with any kind of freezing rain scenario the next few weeks, that's going to play a role on the leaves still being on the trees, kind of weighing some of these branches down. For some reason, I think it's because we haven't had a lot of wind events, and we typically do get a lot of wind events, especially in December. Of course, we're not to December yet, but we typically do at that point. So maybe that's the missing idea. It's been so quiet and dry that we just haven't had any fronts come through to remove the leaves like they normally would. So we're seeing them stick around a little longer. But that tree is a big signal of that, because again, I rarely recall the lights are on that tree with the leaves on them. I just thought that was very interesting. Okay, so anyway, that was a little bit of a diversion. Temperatures haven't moved much because we're saturated. We've got clouds, rain. We're in the mid 50s. We can still climb. And in fact, there are some hints of sun that may try to work their way in today. But overall, bet on overcast sky. And we're going to have to get used to this. The overcast sky is going to stick around for a while. All right, here's the estimated rainfall totals from the radar. Giving a good chunk of wave country, a good solid, at least quarter to half inch. A lot of us around the metro into central Kentucky, at least a solid 1 inch. And in some cases, where you see the yellow, Hardin County down LaRue, parts of Grayson, you guys were approaching 2 inches. I think I was at 1.03 at my house this morning. Airport's 107, 1.07 on the rainfall total. So the modeling did fairly well. Probably a little more east, I think, than what maybe our rural counties east than what it was showing yesterday. But in general, it handled it fairly well. This is good because today is the day they sample the ground for the drought update on Thursday. Good, because usually these rain events miss the sampling day, and then we end up with the same drought map on a Thursday, even though we got rain after the sample was taken, and we are stuck at the same drought map forever. At least our drought map, we know, is going to look different this Thursday on Thanksgiving. So it should improve dramatically. In some cases, especially around Louisville, it will likely be removed from the list. Okay, the back edge of the rain now into the metro. It's slowing down a bit. We're seeing that southwest and northeast flow. It's kind of regenerating at times over and over on the backside. Here's the thing. There will be more of that today. There will be occasional showers and drizzles. Sometimes the radar is going to show well. Sometimes it will not. But as far as the heavier, steadier rain, that is only in Adair County all the way to about the capital and the Lexington. Everything else is light, but it will remain drizzly and foggy at times when you have these showers moving through. And Louisville is certainly set up for that. In fact, let me show you the airport. This is a live look right now at All International. You can see how foggy it is there at the airport. So there could be some travel delays today if you're heading out to the airport to fly to your destination. Just kind of be aware of that and just update. I don't know why I just did that, but just update it. I guess drizzle just picked up there. You see visibility getting worse. Yikes. All right, so be careful traveling out there, guys, on this kind of a rainy setup. Where did I go? Oh, there I am. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Let me show you the outlook here for the next couple of days, because we've got the backside of the system, the clouds. You see all the way back into Iowa. All right. So that's going to take a while. Typical Ohio Valley clouds, low overcast. It gets stuck. Pretty typical to see that. That will hold today, tonight, and most of tomorrow. It'll be later in the day tomorrow. And this is important. On when do we clear out tomorrow? If we clear out fast enough, the sun will have a chance to dry out some of the ground that's relatively damp, right? If we don't, and we clear out at the last minute of the day, there is one little factor we need to watch, and that would be the idea that we could run into on Thanksgiving morning some valley and river freezing fog that could develop, because at that point the sky clears, but the sun didn't have a chance to dry things out. The ground's still damp, and it's a perfect recipe for some valley fog and river fog to form. And the thermometer may get off close to the freezing mark, especially away from the city of Louisville. So if you're heading out very early on Thanksgiving morning, just be aware of that. We'll monitor it. I don't see any issues on roads or anything like that because the ground's warm. This would be just an elevated issue that could make things a little slick on like a bridge or an interstate ramp, something like that. It's off the ground, has dirt, or it doesn't have dirt, has air underneath it. That's what we need to watch on Thanksgiving morning. It's a relatively new item, just now showing up. Let me look at some more data today, and then if you see us talk about more on the newscast, you know that that potential is going up. Right now, it's just a minor issue. Okay, then we see a beautiful setup for Thanksgiving now. Temperatures in the 50s, some sunshine. Thank goodness the dogs can get outside. and play while I try to eat. They are not always the most well-behaved when you're trying to eat turkey, trust me. So having an outdoor weather is not a bad thing. All right, so here's the longer term. So we get into the shopping day on Friday. It looks good there. Maybe a touch cooler because clouds do increase. There is a weak wave scooting across Texas. Right now, we're thinking it's just going to throw clouds at us as we head into Friday and parts of Saturday. And I know we're watching it for the Governor's Cup, but it just looks like clouds. I don't see a whole lot of moisture being able to get back into the Ohio Valley. So that's good. So we'll keep the rain chance out of the picture. Here comes our next little wave rolling off the Rockies. Here it comes. Ooh, looks impressive. Not a bad looking setup there, right? You got the rain dividing line into Kansas and Oklahoma, and then it arrives on Sunday and falls apart. Somebody's wished snow against us, or some of the snow haters out here have done this. But no, we are likely going to get just maybe some drizzle out of that. I wouldn't even say a flurry because of the timing, but still kind of sad, right? But it does fall apart. So that's the reason why, again, I took it off the board. This is the trend there is to really just kind of watch the system out as it moves off to the east. And looking ahead, here's what's a little interesting is the very end of November, all the teleconnections do line up to allow for a drop in temperature for the Great Lakes and the eastern part of the Ohio Valley. There is a dip that does happen on the very last day of the month into the first day of December. Now, will there be any precipitation when that dip happens? I don't know yet. And this is the one that could get added back to the board later, but I need to see how we have the timing of each little piece. You see a little hint of a clipper there with snow into the Midwest and Minnesota. You see a southern system in the Gulf of Mexico. It's an interesting setup. It's interesting, but they're not quite there yet. But I was looking at even, right now, looking at the MJO, it does go into phase 3 and 4, which is going to get us into a warmer pattern here soon, but it wants to go back into a colder one before we see it weaken as we get into about mid to late December. We'll see if that happens or not. Here's a look at the colder air from the polar vortex side of things, right? You can see that little dip that happens. A little piece breaks off and then moves right into Canada, and you see it push right there into the United States right on the last day of November and first day of December. It's not going to stay very long. That's the problem we're running into is the pattern is blocky at times in the northern and the higher latitudes, but it's not exactly a blocking pattern to allow the cold air to really stay for us here into the Ohio Valley very long. But when it does arrive, that's when you need to pay attention. So it's got some support. Ensembles, even from the Euro for the last day of November, showing a cold pocket of air right over us. What will this translate to? Probably highs in the upper 30s at this point. That's the early thinking that it would translate into. And then here's the last little nugget I'll leave for you guys as the new long range all the way to the first day of the new year. How exciting. Take a gander. Indicating that we could get at least some snow. There's a lot of agreement on increasing snow in December, but it's not a shocker. I mean, it's going to show that probably as we get colder, right, into further into winter. But it is a strong signal. If you look at it on a north-south idea, like this is the middle of December right here in the middle, the signal is louder for the second half of December toward Christmas and New Year's. I'd like to see more purples and blues, but it's exciting to see that. We shall see how it all works out. Hang tight, guys. It's going to be a dry, kind of a quiet pattern for the next several days. In my opinion, let's keep an eye on the end of November, first day of December. We'll see how that all comes together next few days. That's step one. And then we'll keep an eye on the end of December and see what happens toward Christmas and into the holidays. All right, that'll be our assignment today. That's your homework. Double space, number 2 pencil. I'll see you guys later. Take care.